Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Monsul. Welcome to our program entitled Communicating Today. We've been on Channel 10 for a long, long time, over 19 years, well past 500 shows. We've had many interesting subjects on our program, organization, guests over these many years on Channel 10. In fact, we're one of the longest running shows right here on Channel 10, Fairfax Cable, here in Fairfax, Virginia. Many great programs in the past, but I know that tonight will be absolutely no exception because I think we have a wonderful show for you. It's going to be about our guest organization, which happens to be the United States Postal Service, which should be very near and dear to all of us because we come in contact with this wonderful agency every day. But when they deliver the mail to our homes and to our offices, they've been around for a long, long time, over a couple of hundred years. Were started by a great patriot by the name of Benjamin Franklin. It was way back to the days of George Washington. So this is an old agency and also one of the largest agencies. They've got offices, post offices, and branches all over the United States, in every city, every town, every hamlet. And we're lucky enough to have one of those of our lives, practically, well, not on Sunday, of course, and not on holiday. Locations right here on our show tonight from a little town called Oak Park, Virginia, which is about halfway between Fairfax County and Richmond, Virginia, not too far off the beaten track from Charlottesville. And we have the postmaster of that little Oak Park post office sitting right alongside of me here. His name is Mr. Maxwell, better known as Max Lacey. And let me tell you a little something about my guest for tonight's program. He happens to be, ladies and gentlemen, a fourth-generation postmaster of that little post office in Oak Park. He's currently the postmaster and has been for a long, long time, since way back, I guess, in 1971, Max, or thereabouts, postmaster of Oak Park.
That's true.
Before that, his father was postmaster, and before that, his grandfather was postmaster of Oak Park. Is that right,
Yes,
Max?
yes.
And before that, his great-grandmother was postmaster back in the days of Abraham Lincoln. Ladies and gentlemen, we're privileged and thrilled to have a fourth-generation postmaster, 4 generations in a row of that same post office in that little town of how many people, Max, in Oak Park?
Just a small community, probably a couple hundred people.
A couple hundred, wow, imagine. We live here outside of Washington, D.C., in Fairfax County with 1 million people, and I got a guy on here tonight, folks, with a couple hundred people, and they've been there forever, since the days of Abraham Lincoln, and who knows how far before that even. But he is a terrific guest, and I am so happy to welcome my guest for tonight's program, Max. May I call you Max?
That'd be fine.
You'd rather not be called Maxwell.
Max is
Max
great.
is much better, right?
Max is great.
All right, let's keep it on the Max basis. I'm John.
All right.
Okay, Max, so nice to have you on our show tonight.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming up. You came up from Oak Park, which was about how far from here?
Probably about 85 miles.
85 miles. And then when we finish the show tonight, you got to turn around and go back
We're
another
going to drive
85
back.
miles.
That's correct.
Take you about an hour and a half?
Work day tomorrow.
About an hour and a half, maybe?
An hour and a half.
But coming up was a little bit longer
A
because
little
of
bit
traffic.
longer with the traffic, yes.
But going back tonight around 9:30 or so, it shouldn't be too bad.
It shouldn't be too bad by then.
Well, we can't thank you enough for coming that long distance and bringing your lovely wife. Frances Claudner Lacey is sitting in our audience tonight, observing our show. And I must give credit also to another gentleman who's also sitting in our audience, Mr. Patrick Murphy, who is the communications coordinator, who helped to put this show, we hope, wonderful show together for us tonight. He's the communications coordinator for the Northern Virginia District, which encompasses certainly Oak Park, your post office.
That's true.
And about 167 other post offices in this Northern Virginia district. Yes. So thank you very much, Patrick, sitting out there again in our audience, and Francis for coming to be with us in our audience tonight to see our show. Well, Max, it's wonderful that you're on our program tonight, and as I was going through some of the history of this Oak Park post office, I know that before your great-grandmother, who was a postmaster back in the days approximately of Abraham Lincoln, there was some kind of a little store that was out there that preceded the post office.
That's true. There were 2 stores in Oak Park.
What was that all about?
The first one was where the original post office was founded, and then it moved to a store that my grandfather built around 1890. It moved to that store in 1928. And the post office is now housed on the same site that it moved to in 1928.
So you guys go back a long, long way. My goodness gracious. And you're part of the Northern Virginia District. And I guess if we were to look at the entire United States Postal Service, the entire federal government agency, we have it headquartered in Washington, D.C. at your headquarters building on L'Enfant Plaza.
That's correct.
Where the person who's in charge of the whole operation, called the
Postmaster General,
is in charge of the whole USPS. U.S. Postal Service, folks, acronym USPS. So you'll be hearing us refer to that USPS acronym during the course of our program. It's a lot easier to say USPS
That's true.
than United States Postal Service, 50 times during the course of our 30-minute show. And then when you take the headquarters location in L'Enfant Plaza in D.C., and then you break it down into a whole bunch of districts, and how many districts are we talking about?
There are 80 districts in the United States.
Of which the one that your post office in Oak Park belongs to is the Northern Virginia.
The Northern Virginia District, that's correct.
Is that considered to be one of the larger districts? Or,
Probably not. It's a pretty sizable district,
yeah.
but it's not necessarily the largest one.
Yeah, in fact, Patrick Murphy sent me some statistics on that and said that you deliver in the Northern Virginia District, believe it or not, he mentioned over 1 million homes, businesses, and post office boxes, covering a 4,200 square mile area bordering from West Virginia on the west to the Potomac River on the east, Stafford to the south, and Maryland to the north. So that's kind of the geographic area.
Kind of geographical area we have.
This gigantic area called the Northern Virginia Postal District covers. Delivers more than 3.2 billion pieces of mail a year. Compared to the 200 people you have down there in Oak Park, that's
a big difference from what it was when my grandfather and great-grandmother were there.
And the Northern Virginia District, of which you folks are part of, employs over 7,000 people in that great big area that I just described. You have the 5th busiest post office in the Murrayfield, Maine post office, which is the headquarters of the Northern Virginia District. The 5th busiest post office in the entire United States of America. And you're self-supporting because the agency, the USPS, uses the revenue from postage sales and other related products to pay all of the post office's expenses.
That's correct.
You don't get any of your funding from the federal government.
No tax dollars. Regardless of what people say, we do not get tax dollars.
So all these federal government programs, the agriculture program and the Department of the Interior and Geological Survey and National Medical Institutes and all these different. Are you doing it all pretty much on your own?
We haven't since 1971.
Yeah, well, now that's truly amazing. That's for sure. Here we had a federal government agency. You guys aren't really taking any money out of that treasury. Artifacts with you today for our program, Max, and I know that we have a nice little compact red book here that says U.S. Postal Guide, and this is an antique if there ever was one. This goes all the way back to 1887.
That's correct.
What is in this little red book?
There's a list of every post office that was in the United States in the year of 1887.
Wow.
And they break it down into alphabetical lists, but they'll also break it down by state and also by county. So you can look in it under Virginia and pick out Fairfax County, and it will tell you how many post offices were there in 1887.
Boy, that book is a real old-timer, isn't it? My goodness gracious.
Yes, it is. That's one of my prized possessions.
Yeah, I can imagine it sure is. Now, I'm going to hold up to camera number 3 again to Martha. Martha, I'm going to hold up a painting here. This is a watercolor painting of the Oak Park Post Office that Max Lacey is the postmaster of. Here it is right here. You can see it now. This is a watercolor painting by his wife, Frances. Her middle name is
Cloker.
Cloker. Frances Cloker Lacey. She's sitting, as I said before, at the beginning of the program in our audience tonight. This is a watercolor that she put together showing this nice, quaint little post office building in Oak Park, Virginia, 85 miles right here from Fairfax County. And this little post office building that you see there also is included in the landscaping. This is the kind of the countryside that shows where these folks live in Oak Park, Virginia, in the county halfway from here to Richmond, Virginia. And this is the beautiful, wonderful countryside that you folks enjoy.
Yes, it is.
When you walk out the front door of your post office there in that little building we just showed, this is what you guys look at.
Yes. We see some cars, but we don't see cars compared to what you see here.
And you also mentioned to me before the program, Max, that you are currently residing, you and your wife Frances, residing in a house that your grandfather built way back in when?
Approximately 1890. I don't have the exact date, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 1890.
So that house is about 120 years old,
Yes, it
approximately.
is. Yes, it is.
And you must enjoy living in that antique house.
I do. I do.
Isn't that wonderful? Well,
it's a lot easier living there now than it was when my grandfather was there, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I just got the halfway signal, believe it or not, Max. I told you this program moves very rapidly. We have a policy of reintroducing our show to you folks watching our program out there, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who might tune in a little bit late, we hope there aren't legions of you who did that. I'm John Monsul, the host, the producer, and the creator of this program called Communicating Today. We come on 3 times every week, every Sunday afternoon at 3:30, every Wednesday evening in prime time at 8:30 p.m., and every Friday morning at 6:30 a.m. for you early birds. We are featuring the United States Postal Service of Madison County, again, about 85 miles, about half. The USPS, one of the oldest and largest federal government agencies, which should be familiar to all of us because we come in contact with them every day when they deliver mail to our homes and our offices. And their representative today from the Oak Park Post Office in little tiny 200 population Oak Park, Virginia, about 85 miles from here, Mr. Maxwell, better known as Max Lacey. Max, again, thank you so much for coming all the way up from Oak Park to be on our program tonight. Now, since we're past the midpoint of our program, we brought along with us, Max brought along, was nice enough to bring, and Pat Murphy had to help to create a terrific 9-minute video, which we are going to show now, which will show you a little bit of a history of the post office down in Oak Park, Virginia. So without further ado, guys in the control room, run the video, 9-minute video. Take it away.
Hello, I'm Max Lacey, Postmaster at Oak Park, Virginia. On July 26, 1775, members of the Second Continental Congress met and agreed that a Postmaster General should be appointed and oversee a line of post offices that would stretch from Falmouth, Massachusetts to Savannah, Georgia. Benjamin Franklin was appointed as the first Postmaster General, and the Post Office Department was born. The Postal Service has made extraordinary contributions in the field of communications, transportation, industrialization, economics, and government. Let's take a quick look at some of these contributions. The Post Office Act of 1792, championed by President George Washington, defined the role of the Postal Service. Under this act, newspapers were allowed into the mails at very low rates to promote the free flow of information of the United States. Washington often spoke about the importance of this free flow of information and considered it the cornerstone of freedom. Many historians credit the Post Office Act of 1792 as the beginning of the modern communications revolution. In just 8 years following the Post Office Act of 1792, the post road system grew from 6,000 miles to 21,000 miles, and more than 700 new post offices were established. With this incredible growth came improvements in the transportation system. Contracts have subsidized the growth of the transportation industry. The stagecoach industry flourished for 60 years with Post Office Department subsidies. Steamboats began carrying mail in 1811, and within 10 years, more than 200 steamboats served riverfront towns. In 1838, railroads began carrying mail, and by 1918, planes were being used to transport airmail. Many of the advances in navigation and aviation communications were developed in response to the new airmail routes. The Postal Service has embraced new technology to improve service, from mail distribution cases in the 18th century to the automated equipment we use today to process 8,000 pieces of mail every second. The relation between the government and the 4 million citizens. The Postal Service has a long, proud history of creating and using the most advanced technology to process, transport, and deliver mail efficiently. Intelligent mail barcodes are revolutionizing the mail. Like many GPS systems, the barcodes uniquely identify mail pieces and track them until they are delivered. We are a world leader in optical character recognition. From the very beginning of the Postal Service, mail transport, 91% of the handwritten addresses on envelopes can be read using this technology. The advanced Facer Counselor system positions letter mail and cancels stamps at 36,600 pieces per hour. The multi-line optical character reader machine reads and verifies the address on mail, sprays a barcode, and sorts the mail at 36,000 pieces per hour. The barcode sorter sorts mail by reading the barcode on a piece of mail at 38,200 pieces per hour. The delivery barcode sorter sorts mail by reading the barcode similar to the BCS, but the DBCS sorts mail for specific routes. At 39,500 pieces per hour, the DBCS sorts mail in the order that carriers deliver it. The automated flat sorting machine processes flat mail, such as large envelopes, at 17,000 pieces per hour. The automated package processing system, APPS, uses state-of-the-art technology to process packages and bundles of mail at over 9,500 pieces per hour. But we also use the latest innovations in technology to conserve energy. We use more solar photovoltaic systems to convert sunlight into energy than any other government agency. We operate the world's largest fleet of alternative fuel vehicles, including 36,000 vehicles that operate on clean fuels such as ethanol, natural gas, propane gas, electricity, and biodiesel. We are currently testing a GM hydrogen fuel cell vehicle right here in Virginia and in California. The Postal Service delivers 700 million pieces of mail every day to every home and business in the United States. Every single American has access to our services and pays the same first-class postage regardless of where they live or work. The Postal Service is a self-supported agency, does not receive any tax dollars to operate. It uses revenues from the sale of postage and products to pay all expenses. With annual operating revenues of almost $75 billion, if the Postal Service were a private sector company, it would be ranked within the top 50 Fortune 500 companies. For the third consecutive year, the Postal Service was rated by the American public as the most trusted government agency. The history of the United States Postal Service is about the men and women whose daily efforts have provided our nation with the finest, most efficient mail service in the world. United States postal workers take pride in processing, transporting, and delivering the mail to people of our great country. The Northern Virginia District is one of 80 districts nationwide and consists of 12 Virginia counties. It has been ranked by the Gallup organization as a 5-star customer service district since the customer service survey began 2.5 years ago. At 4,200 square miles, the Northern Virginia district delivers to more than 1,006,000 homes, businesses, and P.O. boxes. We serve 32,000 customers daily at our 167 post offices, stations, and branches. As for the future, we will continue to expand products and services available to customers online at USPS.com. Since May the 12th, we have offered customers incredible discounts and rebates for purchasing and shipping products and services online. With rising fuel prices, customers are finding it more economical and convenient to purchase services online and request free carrier pickup service. As the economy continues to hammer consumers, the popularity and value of our shipping products continues to grow. We have not added any fuel surcharges to our products, and we will continue to find ways to generate better values for our customers. On behalf of the Northern Virginia District, I would like to thank our customers for rating us among the best in the nation, and we look forward to providing the exceptional value and services our customers expect.
Well, how about that, ladies and gentlemen? That was a very interesting film, Max. I think you have a future career ahead of you, maybe in Broadway or Hollywood. Or
I doubt it.
you were. That was a pretty good job of doing a very nice presentation with a lot of terrific information about the Postal Service. I can't believe those speeds with which those letters are processed. I mean, 30,000 a minute and 80,000 an hour, and I can't even remember all those statistics, but they're unbelievable speeds. And how they've been able to develop that high technology equipment to be able to do that is absolutely amazing, unbelievable. But I know also in your private life, I know you've also, besides being postmaster in Oak Park, you are also associated with a singing group, a Southern Gospel Quartet, since 1993. What's that all about?
Well, we just got together at church and started singing together and enjoyed it so much that we took our show on the road, and we go around and do a lot of revivals and church functions and do some civic functions too, but mostly church things.
Yeah, that's great. I know that you brought along also, I think, a couple of logos. We're going to put a couple more of these logos. One logo goes way back toward the beginning of the Postal Service, folks. Back to around 1792, I believe, to show you what the logo of the post office looked like way back a couple of hundred years ago. In fact, there it is right now. And you got a Pony Express guy riding a horse over there.
Horse.
And that goes way, way, way back a couple of hundred years ago, and back close to the time of Benjamin Franklin when this thing was.
True.
Because Benjamin Franklin was appointed Postmaster General by George Washington,
That's
our
correct.
first president.
That's correct.
When he became president. And now we're going to put another logo up of what the Postal Service logo looks like today when it became the United States Postal Service with that fancy-looking eagle or falcon or bird, or what kind of a bird is that?
That's an eagle.
That's an eagle. And there's the modern-looking eagle up there when it changed its name back in, what,
1971.
1971 it became the U.S. Postal Service.
That's correct.
And they developed that new logo at that particular point in time. Well, that's terrific. Now, we're talking about the history of the Postal Service, Max. Now, I guess we got to kind of spend it. We only have about 3 minutes left or so in the program. I just got the 3-minute warning. A little bit about maybe what the future holds. You know, all of us are dealing with this thing called the Internet, the World Wide Web. And everybody, sends all these messages, all these emails back and forth, and I'm sure you get your fair share of emails.
Yes, we do.
You send a few out, too.
Yes, we do.
How's that impacting the volume of work that the post office is doing these days?
Well, it's changed the volume of first-class mail. We dropped considerably in the volume of first-class mail, but I think we have a lot of potential to get that revenue back with our new package services that we're working with. And we use a tool called Business Connect that we sponsor with our businesses. We go into different business places and try to get some extra revenue out of them. And, you know, we got a great program now. We give them discounts for doing things online. It saves us dollars as far as processing and so forth.
And then you also, I guess, were telling me before the program, you do a lot of stuff on eBay. You have a lot of products and services and so forth that the Postal Service offers, and you promote those and market those on eBay.
That's true.
And there's a certain amount of revenue that comes from
that. Yeah, we get some revenue mostly from the people that buy on eBay. They use our shipping services.
Oh, I see. Then you got registered mail and certified mail and
Yes.
all kinds of P.O. boxes and what have you.
Express mail and priority mail.
All kinds of things going on.
All kind of good stuff.
But the everyday, day-to-day mail that goes out, that's somewhat diminishing a little bit.
Somewhat diminished. The business mail has probably picked up, the bulk business mail, because the people with the catalogs and all, they want to get these books, you know, to look at the stuff to see what they need to order.
Well, that's interesting, Max. I just got the 1-minute warning, which means we got to start wrapping it up. So I just want to I think we could go on for another half hour about this wonderful organization that you represent, the U.S. Postal Service, but we got to wrap it up now, and I want to thank you so much for coming up.
It's my pleasure.
Coming up from way down there in Oak Park, Virginia, about 85 miles from here, and have a safe, wonderful, non-eventful trip going back home tonight. Both you and your wife, Frances Cloaker Lacey, who was nice enough to come visit with us and sitting in our audience tonight. And again, a thanks to our good friend Pat Murphy, Communications Coordinator for the Northern Virginia District. Thanks so much again, Max, for being on the program. Come back and see us again sometime. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching our program, which featured the U.S. Postal Service and Max Lacey, Postmaster of the Oak Park Post Office, way down there in little old 200 population Oak Park, Virginia. Keep on communicating for successes the way we always close out our programs. Come back and see us next week. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching our show, Communicating Today. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, Max.